Okay, let's get the opposition walking dead now. We have two of our MPs, Ted Hsu, you remember him, he's a regular in our rookie panel from Liberal from Kingston, and Dan Harris, Scarborough NDP, rookie as well. Welcome to you all. All right, Dan, you're playing with Legos in there, right? I mean, is that how you stay awake? Is that what's keeping you occupied?
Well, it's just one of many things that I did over the last day that we've been here. Of course, I brought lots of communication correspondence from constituents, reading materials, but I also brought my laptop so that I could watch some shows, as well as, yes, put together some Lego at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was a nice, relaxing activity, and it's just one of the things I do to unwind.
When was the last time you slept?
Last time I fully slept was yesterday morning.
Wow.
I was on house duty until midnight Tuesday, and then slept and been up since noon yesterday.
Good grief. Ted, what's your story? How long have you been surviving this thing? Did you go right through the night?
I went right through the night, and I woke up pretty early on Wednesday morning, and I've been more or less up since then with a couple of short half-hour naps.
Okay, in the course of this evening, did you have any doubts about the tactic? Is it doing anything in your view, Ted?
Well, I think what it does is, I think there are a lot of Canadians and some of the conservative backbenchers understand that it doesn't make sense and it's not good for our democracy to put all these different things into the budget bill. And my way of looking at it is to make some of those conservative backbenchers feel in their bones and in their heads what's wrong with the way Bill C-38 is structured with all these things in it.
If you guys run off and babble, I'll completely understand. Although you can get away with that on this particular edition of the show. Dan, worth it for you?
Pardon?
Is it worth it for you to be fighting this thing?
Absolutely, because we've done what conservatives refuse to do, which was go out and talk to Canadians about the budget. And as Ted mentioned, there's a lot of things in this implementation bill that really shouldn't be there. And of course these things got studied at the Finance Committee when they should have been at the Environment Committee, at the Industry Committee, and in different committees to be actually properly and thoroughly researched. And as a result, Canadians aren't very well informed about the budget, and the more time that we're able to take, the better a chance we have of informing them about what's going on and the changes being made.
Speaking of how quickly you can make the vote happen or how slowly, you're doing some pretty slow standing and sitting in the House of Commons. Obviously, it's a tactic. It's driving the government crazy. You know that, right? I guess that's part of the object of the exercise.
The government drives us crazy when they put things into a budget bill that shouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're not going to let them get away with it without feeling a little bit of pain on that as well.
Ted, is there a sense, I mean, when you were watching this thing go by, is there a sense that you know what you're voting down? I mean, does that get lost in the sheer volume, or do you know every time you fail in an amendment that something's going out into the real world that will change the way Canada does environmental reviews or old age security or whatever? Is that sense of occasion lost?
One of the things I was doing today was tweeting and saying we are now voting to save fish habitats, and then we just lost the vote on fish habitats. So letting people know about some of the amendments, and then we talk a little bit more amongst ourselves. Okay, what are we voting on now? Oh, this is the one about pensions, or something like that. This is the one about getting rid of the Inspector General for CISA. So we kind of follow what's going on, and I try to communicate that to voters.
I'm wondering if you see a sort of unity forming in your respective parties. I mean, this sort of ordeal, I think, might have a unification effect rather than just wearing you out. Is that what's happening with the NDP?
Within our own caucus, certainly. I mean, last year, of course, around the same time of year, we had the Canada Post lockout.
Right.
And for us, of course, that was really an excellent unifying opportunity for us. We were all new to each other in many cases, and we got to know each other very well. And the same thing's happening today.
Ed, is that what's happening with the Liberals as well?
Well, I would say that most of the amendments that we're voting on are Liberal Green Party amendments, where we've gotten together to
the
submit
merger
amendments.
is starting to happen. The merger is happening with you two.
Well, not between us, but between the Liberal Party and the Green Party. We really work together closely on this to put forward amendments. The idea is that Elizabeth May can put forward amendments because she doesn't have a place on committee.
True.
But then she needs MPs to stand up and force recorded votes, and the Liberal Party can do that.
Dan, is there any sense that outside of the parliamentary precinct this is resonating at all?
Well, certainly. I mean, when we went from coast to coast to coast during the constituency week and other times, we've been hearing from a lot of Canadians And I had the opportunity when I was here Tuesday evening until midnight speaking on the budget bill to relay the stories that several of my own constituents were bringing forward. And I mean, that's what we're here to do, is to represent Canadians. And we feel that especially with the Conservative backbench, I mean, they haven't taken that opportunity to represent constituents very well in this instance. And of course, we've heard of a few Conservative MPs that do have apprehensions about the budget, but then they get whipped and fall into line rather than stand up for their constituents.
You're hearing from outside the Dome?
Very much so. That's a lot of my time spent today was exchanging emails and tweeting and trying to communicate what's happening here and the significance to the everyday lives and the futures of everyday Canadians.
This thing's going to drag on to at least one. Are you going to be able to make it, you two? Dan, is this?
Well, I'm actually scheduled for my first break in a couple of hours, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, we were supposed to start at about 6 p.m. yesterday, so we're already about 6 hours longer than I had expected to be here. And I mean, I'll take a little break and have a little nap and then come back even fresher for the final votes.
Sure, yeah, okay, fresher. You're going to come back fresher for the final votes, Ted?
I'll make it all the way to the end. In fact, I was supposed to be talking to some scientists in Calgary today, but I'll be talking to them via Skype. So that's another thing that I'll be doing tonight.
From the House of Commons?
Well, from this building and somewhere else. But I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to be here till the end.
Okay, Ted Shea, Dan Harris, thanks very much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Through the night, although he got a bit slacky by taking off at 4 a.m. for a few hours of sleep, and he joins us from Maclean's magazine. He's been doing a very entertaining blog on that site, and he joins me here to talk. You don't look too bad, Aaron.
I'm not bad. Your makeup lady did a nice job of covering the bags.
Tell me about what's gone on last night. Is there a favorite antic or a favorite way MPs are staying awake in there that you spotted from the gallery?
I did enjoy Dan Harris's Lego construction. That was a nice touch. Michelle Rempel brought Play-Doh for a while.
That's kind of odd.
Didn't quite understand that one. A lot of junk food going on, a lot of candy. Oddly, a stuffed dog that has been taking up various seats in the government backbench. Just maybe a metaphor there, but I'll let you figure that out.
Are they sticking around for the most part? Are MPs staying for the votes, or do they let a percentage of them go for every vote?
The Conservatives seem to have a pretty structured system of about a dozen kind of coming and going at any time, about a half hour, I think, break. The NDP seems a bit more scattershot of who's there and who's not. But I think at any one time, you're probably looking at about like 50, 60 MPs out of the House. But everybody seems to be sort of doing their time, I guess.
Is there a lot of sleeping going on?
There is a little bit of that, although it's tough to sleep when you have to get up every 10 minutes or so to vote. Diana Blonsky seemed a bit passed out on her desk. There's a few pillows in the House. But yeah, it's tough to sleep when you have to get up every 10 minutes. I guess you maybe get like a 9-minute nap in there.
Okay, I'm wondering, are the leaders for the most part there for these votes? How's the Prime Minister attendance doing?
The Prime Minister seems to be doing a regular shift like the rest of his MPs, so he's in and out of the House every half hour or so. Tom O'Kerr was there from, I believe, 1 straight till about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and apparently is going to do a new shift soon. Bob Rae is doing about the same. Elizabeth May, not a recognized party in the House, but a party leader essentially, has been there for every vote so far and is committed to being there for every vote going forward somehow.
Are there any other ones that seem to be there forever? Is a lot of them sticking around?
There's a couple NDP MPs who apparently have been there for the
Ginny
whole thing.
Sims says she's been in there for every vote. She's supposed to be on our show today and said, nope, I'm not leaving the House.
Peter Van Loan, I think, has missed 1 vote so far. I don't quite know how they're doing that, but probably a little bit of Red Bull going on. But yeah, a few people have hung around for the whole thing.
Do you get a sense that there's a unity happening out there? Does this sort of bring out the unification effort amongst these party leaders?
I think so. I mean, the Conservatives make a point, it seems, of getting up and cheering every time their votes come around. The NDP doing about the same. A little bit of tribal warfare, I think, sets in. But, if you talk to the NDP, they go back to that filibuster last year, and they talk about that as one of the big unifying things about this for that caucus. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a bit of team play involved, and it does seem to sort of rally them all together.
I guess the problem for you is there's really no debate. You usually blog what's going on, and you didn't even get your question period blogging in today.
No, there are these odd, periodically nuisance points of order every once in a while.
I kind of look forward to them after a while.
Yeah, it's nice to hear someone's voice other than the clerks calling names every minute. But yeah, not a lot of debate going on, although there is a fair bit of heckling going on.
I think I've noticed that MPs have different signs. You notice that? Like some of them
Right.
give signs. Is that just to family members who are signaling at home? Or what
I
is
don't
it?
know. Some of them have these weird little traditions they do whenever there's a vote. There's a couple NDP MPs who flash the peace sign whenever they vote. I think Jeff Watson always gestures to the MP on his right. I guess it's to amuse themselves. I don't know. Maybe
Maybe to stay awake now.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
All right, Aaron, you got to go back in until
I do. I've got
midnight.
I've got another 8 hours or so to go.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you're earning overtime. Thanks very much, Aaron Wherry, Maclean's Magazine. Appreciate you coming in.